Black stands out.
Black always stands out.
Yeah, but definitely in the snow, so be careful. Because today
Yes,
is
sir.
an especially difficult day with that ahead. And listen, this is the Power Hour. We are glad to be here and holding it down together. I don't know how she did it,
Yes.
but she's there. I guess she took my advice and got that air mattress working out yesterday. What's up, Kuwasa?
Good morning. How you doing?
So you like the producer for everybody's show today?
Nope, nope. Don't put that out there. It was fun getting in though. Not really, but yeah.
Was it bad?
It wasn't great. I will say that much, but it wasn't horrible. The only actually the biggest issue I had was like I got here around 5:20 and I had to kind of circle around the building a few times because the streets weren't plowed. So I
Oh,
had to kind of floor it, and I have a little Kia Soul, but I mean my little baby made it. I was able to kind of get over some of that, but I did get stuck a little bit. I got scared. I
Ah,
panicked. I
all-wheel drive
panicked.
or all-wheel drive? Got
No, I
all-wheel.
just no, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
But I
oh.
made it though. I did it. I'm here.
S- Well, I'm glad that you made it, and I'm glad to hear that it's not as bad. I mean, I was out yesterday in it, running some errands, well, running people to work, put it that way, some young people, and so luckily they don't work too far from home, and it was pretty bad. This was in the middle of it, and so even the SUV was not really handling well in it, but overall, it looks like Philly. This is not the worst thing I've ever seen in Philly with snow. It's bad, but this is definitely not the worst. How was it? So how is it in your parts, Royster?
Well, I got out of Dodge, so I made my way back down to Maryland. So it's just icy down here. It actually snowed. We got a couple inches, and then it iced over. So I just looked outside a little while ago. All the streets and everything are just sheets of ice, which is I would prefer the snow.
Oh yeah, man, sheets of ice. Well, it'll warm up soon,
Yeah.
and by warm up I mean 35 to 40. I don't want like the people who listen to this show who are not from the East Coast who don't understand what warm up means. You know, in the dead of winter, you'll take 40 every day, won't you?
40 and that'll feel really good. You'd be like walking around with your jacket open and everything.
Man, 40 in the sun.
Yes.
Woo,
Oh.
in January, man, I've come to appreciate it.
Oh,
I don't even need a jacket. I go to California now, man, to visit. It's like it gets cold out there, I mean, Bay Area cold.
yeah,
That wind
Bacon,
comes off
yeah.
the bay.
Mhm.
But I'm like rolling out there with no jacket, and people are like, "Man, you're not cold?" They got minks,
Mm.
fur coats, big old leather trench coats. I'm like, really, y'all? Come on now. I've gotten tough on the East Coast. I'm tough now.
Man, I was out in the Bay once. It was July, must have been July 2011. And I was up in the mountains in Applegate, California, population 300. I was there for a week-long retreat with Faith in Action, then the Pico National Network. And a group of us decided to take the hour and a half ride over to the Bay. So I had on shorts, T-shirt, whole nine yards. We get to the Bay, it's 50 degrees. And it was
Oh, yeah.
like people are walking around in sweatshirts and sweatpants, and I am freezing. I actually had to go buy a sweatshirt and a pair of sweatpants so I would not freeze my tail off while I was out there.
Yeah, well, it has been said over the years that the coldest winter anyone can ever spend is a summer in San Francisco. And it's true.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a different kind of, the Bay Area is a weird climate. So San Francisco is, if it's 50 in San Francisco, you cross the bridge. It's like Oakland to Camden, but the bridge is longer.
Hmm.
And so you go, it's 50 there, cross over to Oakland, it can be 55 to 60. Go through the tunnel right on the other side of Walnut Creek, and it's 80 or 90.
Wow.
It's all on the same day.
Wow.
And that's like maybe 10 miles apart,
That's crazy.
15 miles apart.
Yeah.
So it is definitely, you have to dress for carrying your car, multiple outfits. You got to scale up when you get into the city. But here on the East Coast, you only need snow boots today. That's it, and a snow shovel. Today I get to teach my one of my daughters how to drive in the snow. She
Yeah.
got to learn.
Yeah, Suzette was trying to teach Joy yesterday, and they just didn't get a chance to get out and do it. But absolutely, I learned to drive in the snow in Boston. That was my experience driving in the snow. So I understand how to do it very well. For all the
In
I spent up there.
in Boston, up there drinking all your Dunkin'.
Duncan,
You
yes,
just
sir.
drinking all your Dunkin' up there.
That's right. That's right.
Rooting for the Pats.
Yes.
Huh?
I know. I never rooted for the Patriots. I never got on board with any of the sports teams. Actually, all my years at Boston College, and my years up there were immediately following the years that Doug Flutie was up there. His brother Darren Flutie was still a star football player. I never went to any sports games while I was at Boston College. Not one.
Well, we already know that. Anyone who listens to this show is not surprised by that at all.
Not once. Never went once.
Right.
And
We already know.
I lived my sophomore year right across the street from the stadium.
But I bet you knew everything about Boston politics while you were there.
I absolutely did.
See?
I absolutely did.
Who was the mayor back then?
Was it Marty Walsh? No, Ray. Ray. I can't think of his last name right now. He eventually became the ambassador to the Vatican for the U.S.
See the fact that you even know that, right? I mean, I only know the mayor of Atlanta when I was an undergrad because my guy, it was Maynard Jackson.
Right. Well,
You know what I mean?
like an icon.
Exactly, right? But I mean,
Kelly. Wait a minute. I got to look it up now. Now you made me have to go look this up.
Aunt Young wants to know, were you up there driving around in your car?
Yes, I had a car after I left school. Yes.
My, my favorite part of being folk from Boston when I introduce myself, I'm like, yeah, Mark Tyler. They're like, oh yeah, okay, what's up, Mark? How you doing, Mark? I'm like, how did you get M-A-K and that weird thing on it from M-A-R-K? What happened to the R? Yeah, don't worry about that, Mark. Just get in the car. We're going to Duncan.
Duncan. Ray Flynn. That's what his name was. Ray Flynn. Yeah.
See,
I had to look that up. I was like, oh, I knew the guy's name.
You're true to the game. See.
So actually, when I was up there, I mean, I know we got news and stuff to cover, but when I was up there, actually there was similar to the Northeast trying to secede from Philadelphia, which is tried to do for generations. Actually, I don't think they're really trying to do that anymore. But when I was up there, there was a group in Roxbury that had renamed itself Mandela, and they were trying to secede from the Boston community. So it was a black community, a large black community up there that was literally trying to secede from the rest of the city. And there was a whole movement up there to try to split the city.
That's different.
Yeah, well, I think, the challenge was, and just like a lot of major cities, Boston had a large black population, and they were the perfunctory, not the perfunctory, but sort of like the token black folk in politics. But blacks couldn't really take a hold of the political realm up in Boston. As much as we like to think of the Northeast as not being racist, it's actually terribly racist. And so there was a move to create Mandela. And actually, when I was up there last, I guess it was over a year ago now, because I fly up there for work frequently, I actually drove down the street and I could see the sign that said Mandela that was now falling down. But it was still up there where people were trying to declare the borders of this new city that they were trying to create that was named after Nelson Mandela.
Wow. So I'm looking at Facebook Live. Raphael says that Boston's never had a black mayor. That's
Never
true.
has. Never had a black mayor or a woman mayor either.
Wow. Come on, Boston. Boston.
They won't. I mean, the way it's Irish, it's a big Irish Catholic town. Like, I think actually almost all the mayors are Irish Catholic, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Not to say there's anything wrong with being Irish Catholic, but they've never had a black mayor.
That's well, I mean, listen, the fact that, so then that really then, so I guess for those of us who are happy to see Ayanna Pressley become the first black woman in Congress from Boston a couple of years ago, I guess that really then puts that into, I mean, that was really a big deal then, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, she won a part of the city that actually has a large black population in it, and it's also the progressive side of the city too. So that's not surprising. But yeah, I mean, Boston politics, man, is like it's very different. Actually, one of the sweethearts from my fraternity is now sitting on. She actually was a sweetheart from my chapter that came the year after I pledged. Is actually now one of the city councilors on Boston City Council, Julia Milias. and you know, really proud of her work and everything that she's done to get on there. So yeah, that's really cool.
All right, wow. So listen, Facebook Live folk, hit the share button and send this out. Yeah,
Oh, by the way, tell Will Mega, this is specifically for you.
yeah.
The my dean of my line, and I place by myself just to let folk know that, is the sheriff of Suffolk County, which encompasses Boston, right? Boston's a part of Suffolk County, not the whole of it, but part of it. And his name is Sheriff Steve Tompkins. He was the dean of my pledge line. I just want you to know that. So, because you know, you
Yeah.
always make grief about IOTAs. Well, IOTAs are doing big things, at least in Boston and other places too. Absolutely.
There you go. And if you keep talking junk about the IOTAs, Will, we're going to let that sheriff know. So if you ever go visit Boston, they're going to give you a hard time.
We'll put
Will
you in
Mega. Hey, Will. Hey, Will. Hey, Will Mega. Could you, Will, if you lived in Boston, man, your name would be so much cooler. It'd be, Will Mega. Who, Will Mega? Speaking of mayors, so let me just tell you how people give themselves away. You know, like when you go to class and you missed a class and you say to the teacher something that's like something real profound. They're like, yes, student, we did that yesterday. And it's like, oh, because, you know, in college, they don't, you know, take that role in that same kind of way. So right on, Ant, I see that you weren't here yesterday because we've already talked about the the Baltimore mayor with that dope afro. Or maybe it was Monday we talked about him. We had an entire segment on afros, by the way. You would have enjoyed it.
Yes. By the way, I've got to clarify that yesterday because, first of all, listeners, I just want you to know that I got razzed all day yesterday because I said I'd never had an afro. And I finally had to call my co-host on the phone.
Yeah, he did.
Because somebody said that I was bougie.
He called me in the middle of a snowstorm to clear this up, by the way.
Clear this up because I was told by somebody who was listening to our program, who I was talking to, said that I was bougie because I did not have an afro and I did not go to HBCU. First of all, I've been on HBCU's campuses, so let me clarify that. I didn't go to school there, but I've been on the campuses, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing I want to clarify as well is that I did not have an afro because my hair just doesn't grow very fast. And this never got very long before my mother was taking us to go get shaped up. So I just never had the afro. Okay, people? It does not mean not black. I'm not trying to put my black card, the whole 9 yards. I just want to be clear about that. I didn't have an afro, not because I didn't want an afro. It's because I couldn't grow an afro. Thank you very much.
Kawesa, can you take us to break when we get ready in a couple of minutes with the song, Hey, what's the matter with your afro? Can you please find that and make my morning? It's a snow day, you all. So we're, you know, in the spirit of a snow day, we're just, you know, it's just some really fun banter. We'll talk about some of these really tough news stories as well. But I mean, the world is not really feeling that this morning. It's snow all over the Northeast corridor, and when it's snow, people lighten up a little bit. Unless you're Dr. William Haidt, who's like, no, bah, humbug. All you little tiny Tims are going to school today and Timettes. Man, Dr. Haidt is my guy, but I swear, man, he hates canceling school.
Yes.
I mean, with a passion. Y'all don't understand.
You weren't here when Connie Clayton was the school superintendent.
Was she worse?
Yeah, Connie Clayton's response when she was school superintendent, somebody asked her about school days, and her response is, the students will be walking on white. that was. In other words, you're going to walk to school in the snow if you got to get there. Constance Clayton did not believe in closing schools.
Oh, man, let me just tell you. It took me about 6 hours to get home one day a few years ago when they canceled school at about 1 o'clock. So they should have never had it to begin with. And they pushed it anyway. And then they were like, oh, crap, we got to cancel. I'm like, are you serious? Man, it was the most horrific. My daughter's still traumatized. She was talking about it yesterday. She was like, Dad, you remember that day it took us, we didn't get home till that night? I'm like, yeah, because you were kids. You were back there sleeping. If you think you were traumatized, man, every road was closed. So look, anyway, Dr. Haidt, you should give kids a day off. I think that they just need that.
They need decompression right now. Actually, that would probably be helpful.
Yeah,
it's a mental health day.
It is a mental health day. Hey, real quick, somebody, one of you old school people, put in the chat the link to that YouTube video of what's the matter with your afro. Help us out there. Help us produce that this morning. Oh, man.
Wait a minute,
They
Tawana
say
says I'm bougie. I have a real problem with this. Why are you saying that I'm bougie? I'm just like,
bougie. Yeah, you're bougie.
it's bourgeois. And
Bougie.
bourgeoisie.
Black and bougie.
Tu ne parles
Black
pas
folks say,
français?
no, black folks say bougie. See, being bougie if you can't say bougie. Speaking of French, hey, the French president got COVID.
I know, Macron got COVID. I saw that the other day.
He ain't take the vaccine?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he didn't. Well, I mean, even if he did, the vaccine France has not approved it yet. Only Great Britain and the U.S. have. So I don't know that they have gotten the vaccines over there yet.
K. Rashad Bey says, LOL, why is Dr. Height your dude? I like Dr. Height. I do. I honestly do. I disagree with him on several issues. But y'all know me. I disagree with everybody on something, right? I mean, nobody's totally agreeable.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, right. But that doesn't mean I don't have to like him. I think Dr. Height's heart is in the right place. And let me tell you, my criteria for a good superintendent, because we're never going to agree on like things like should they be out for school or this or that, is do you love children? And are you children-centered? And at least the things that you're trying, are they about the children? And I believe that. You know what I mean? I know him well, and I do believe that's where it comes from. It's not about a paycheck for him. But, you know, he does stuff sometimes that I'm just like, come on, man. Really? Like, again, today, it's not going to kill you. You know that you control snow days for the rest of the year now. Yeah. So it's not like they're going to really fall behind. These kids probably have not been as caught up as they have. This is as caught up as they have ever been. Because you didn't lose school this year because of heat and no air conditioning and any of those things. Give them a break. I'm telling you, they are like, I'm living with it. They need that break just to go out, romp around in the snow, and be kids for a day. I'm gonna tell you, a lot of parents are gonna let their kids do it anyway. I know we are. Like, if you don't want to be in Zoom today, go outside, because it's already stressful enough for them not being with their friends. And we've talked about this on the show already about just the ways in which COVID is impacting young people's minds and their socialization and what have you. So we got to be concerned about that too. And one day out in the snow is not going to kill anybody.
Gotcha.
Unless you slip on the ice.
No, I agree. I think that it's important for us to do it. The Reverend Aunt Young posted the video in the Facebook chat. So thank you, Reverend Young. I don't know why this is all the preachers know all this old school, stuff. But anyway, he posted the video there. So it's in there for us to take a look at. Hey, when we get back, we need to talk about the Major League Baseball, recognizing the need.
So, that's dope. I should go get my Negro League hat real quick while we talk about it. That's a big story.
So can we talk about that when we come back?
Yeah, and also
I got stories about that too, so I want to talk about that.
Hey, and we got to talk about the pajama suit for Zoom. I told you it's a snow day. So Zoom has something that's going to bless your souls. Well, it's not Zoom, but it's a company that has created something that's going to really hook a lot of you all up and fix your ensembles. And the Philadelphia DA's race is about to start to heat up. There's a new contender in the race. This is the Power Hour. Hit the share button on Facebook Live. Bring your friends and family in. We'll be right back on the other side of the break. And we come back. Kawesa is in the chat right there. What's the matter with your afro? Come on, let's come back with that. We'll be right back.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
PECO is here to help this winter. With LIHEAP, you can get up to a $1,000 cash grant towards your PECO bill. You don't have to be behind on your bill to qualify, and you'll never have to pay it back. Even a family of 4 with an annual income of $40,000 is eligible. So don't count yourself out. This deal is first come, first served, so apply now at PECO.com/LIHEAP or call 800-34-HELP4. That's 800-34-HELP4.
Man, this coronavirus has us all moving differently.
No doubt. Like washing our hands more and social distancing with the crew. I'm always telling people to give me 6 feet. We're here, Grandmom.
There's my babies. Good to see you got your mask on.
Wear mask. Stop the spread. For more information, visit www.pa.gov/COVID.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WURDradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio. Messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese. Exclusive articles and multimedia content and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
If I were a selfie, I'd be all about me. What's the matter with your afro, nigga? My skin is brown when I walk around town.
Oh,
what's the matter with your afro, nigga?
Kill it. Ed Young, we're going to get you. That's the wrong version.
I was trying to text y'all, and my phone was delayed. I was like, I don't know if that's right or not.
Ed Young, we're coming to Maryland with Royce. You're already in Maryland.
That's right. I'll go see him. I'll take care of it.
Drive by his house and like throw snowballs on his car. That is not the song, but that is the song. But that's like somebody's rendition. That's like a TikTok of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a little brutal. Anyway, welcome back to I'm getting ready to say solutions. Welcome back to the Power Hour with Mark Kelly Tyler, Dwayne David Royster. We're here Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and of course our opinion.
He set us up, bro.
Yo, that's the understatement, bro.
He set us up big time. Hey, real quick, let me just say this. I know you were talking about the Negro League.
Yeah.
But let me just say, so I'm getting all this all this feedback about Dr. Height and my comments about him. I want to just say this to you.
Mm-hmm.
There has never been an active superintendent that you all have liked in Philadelphia, period. You haven't liked any of them because nobody ever likes the superintendent. You didn't like Ackerman. I was on their faith-based commission. You didn't like Valance. You only like superintendents when they're gone. It's like pastors. You know, I won't call the name of the church. I pastored 7, so I can say this and you'll never figure it out. And there was a particular couple that gave me the most hell. I mean, when I talk about hell, it's all caps with a bunch of L's on the end. They made my time there miserable. Do you understand me? I mean, miserable. I came to find out that's just what they do. And when I see them to this day, they run to me at AME meetings. They hug me. And they brag to all their friends who walk by. This was our favorite pastor ever. And I'm like, huh? You two gave me the most hell of anyone I've ever had as a member of a church, and I'm your favorite? Because you know what? That's what some people do. And I have never heard anyone speak favorably about a Philadelphia superintendent until they're gone or until they're dead. And so in real time, y'all don't like superintendents. So I get it. Height is not perfect. He has he failed miserably on the Ben Franklin building. That just came out in a report. And so should he be fired? I mean, my guess is whoever you get, you're going to want to fire because it's that job. And listen, so I don't know if you know this, but so the PhD that I have is actually in educational leadership because at one point I thought I'd be a president of a seminary. So most of my classmates in my cohort were actually studying to become superintendents of schools in their respective districts. Right. And that's what a lot of them went on to do. But the research is clear. Superintendents only stay in places 3 to 5 years. You know why? Because when they get hired, everybody wants to fire them.
Well, I think what it is that everybody has these super huge expectations. And much the same way people have expectations of pastors. Come in, grow the church, do everything. You're supposed to do all this by yourself. And the superintendent is expected to fix a school district that's been in disarray for years, to come in and fix it all by themselves. It's unrealistic expectations, to be honest with you. And oftentimes not resourced well enough in terms of the supports that need to be in place to be able to make things happen. And And let's be honest, right? There's also the participants in the school district that have responsibility for making the school district better as well. Just saying.
I'm just saying.
That will elicit some comments and some complaints, but I'm just saying, parents and students have a responsibility to make the school district better as well.
Anton says that people like Connie Clayton.
They did.
Yeah.
She was tough, but I think people appreciated it. She was just, she was tough.
Yeah. Okay. I hear that. But she came out in 93, and I would imagine if I go pull some news stories, there'll be all these stories of parents groups calling for her termination and her resignation. Because, people, we just don't like, I don't know what it is about that position, but of all positions in local government these days, that just seems to be the hotbed of criticism, and no one can ever, do well enough by people. I don't know until you're gone. But all right, so I digress. I'm sorry, I just had to hit that real quick. But yeah, please, let's continue.
Okay, so yesterday, Major League Baseball recognized as major leaguers the Negro Leagues. And these were the baseball teams of black players who could not get into the white leagues, who played in teams all across the country, primarily in the East Coast and in the north, going north through south. The Philadelphia had the Philadelphia Stars as a team. This was a particularly emotional story for me yesterday because I went to church with Stanley Glenn, and Stanley Glenn had been until he died, was the president of the Negro League Ball Players Association, and had been working tirelessly for decades for the teams to be recognized. He was a catcher for the Philadelphia Stars, and he said the greatest honor of his life was being able to be the catcher for Satchel Paige, because sometimes when teams were struggling, they would trade players to help get the numbers up, and so he caught for Satchel Paige for a couple years when Satchel Paige was playing for the Philadelphia Stars. He did his whole career. Stanley Glenn did his whole career at the Philadelphia Stars. He wrote a book a few years ago about the Negro Leagues. And talked about the life and legacy and the work of the Negro Leagues, and was honored by Vice President Al Gore for his work keeping the Negro Leagues lifted up. So I'm proud to say today, and I was proud of him then and continue to be proud of the legacy that he left behind. Everybody at church called him Uncle Stan. That's how we all knew him as Uncle Stan. Even though I was a grown man, everybody called him Uncle Stan, and he was one of the big stalwart Eastwick United Methodist Church, which was the church that I came out of and went into ministry from at 84th and Lindbergh Boulevard. Stan was a larger-than-life figure at that congregation. He did just about everything at the church. He was a deeply faithful man. But when I, heard the story yesterday, he had been fighting for this for years, for decades. He had been fighting for this recognition. And now Major League Baseball has done that. So I just say to Uncle Stan, rest in peace. We thank God for you and all the other players that played in the many games. And now all of the Negro League stats will go into the Major League records. So Major League Baseball.
Well, so I guess my question is, first of all, it's a great story, right? The fact that again, MLB is going to now consider them one of the 7 founders, one of the founders of MLB, because again, there were all these little, other like little leagues that all united to become the major league.
Right.
So will that mean, like, I don't know, if they're surviving members of the Negro Leagues, will they get like benefits from the pension plan, for example?
Yeah.
As a result of now being a part of the major league, are there financial implications to this? What was cut out? We probably need some sports person like Chris Murray, who you could check out here on Saturday mornings at 11, to come in and talk about that. But I would imagine they're also going to that there will be some financial implications, and so it's kind of convenient that they say, "Come on in now," when most of these guys are like close to passing away. I mean, there's a lot less financial risk in doing this. MLB has been in the news as well this week. I think we mentioned this earlier, but it is worth noting again that the Cleveland team has dropped Indian as their name. A lot of pressure is now being put on Atlanta because they bear the name the Braves. I'm certain that people are going to be coming for the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL. And again, rightfully so. I mean, come on now. you wouldn't have like the name of some Jewish slur or some, African American slur. Not that people wouldn't want to, but we wouldn't do that. But we get away with this with the indigenous people of this country, because by and large they live in places where most of us don't interact with them quite a bit. Now, this also is important because it demonstrates how wide-ranging the influence of this moment that we're living in that's been generally labeled Black Lives Matter, and how for things that weren't even on the agenda have come to the forefront, and how a lot of people are benefiting from this movement that started on a very quiet street in Ferguson with the killing of Mike Brown. Now, there were people who were killed before that, but Mike Brown was kind of the flashpoint that really kind of kicked this modern era off. And no disrespect to Trayvon or anyone else as well, but since this moment. So it's just I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is great. It's interesting you point out the other pieces about the finance and stuff like that. Now, what it does do is that it also will recognize the stats of like Jackie Robinson and Satchel Paige and others that made the transition to the white leagues. So it actually makes their stats like go way up. My hope is that they will go back now and begin to bring those Negro League players into the regular Baseball Hall of Fame. And that they will start to bring those. There's actually a Negro League Hall of Fame, but they need to bring that over into the regular Hall of Fame now as well. Because some of those stats for those Negro League players will blow out of the water the white players.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, so listen, I saw it in the chat, and I'm glad that it was brought up. I think maybe Joe Simmons brought it up and asked the question where we're going to talk about this. And I'm happy that we have some time to lift this up. I don't know if you saw this in the news this morning. There's a story of a young man who spent 19 years in prison for a crime that he did not commit. Tremaine Hicks heard the cries of a woman who was being raped back in 2001. And man, I tell you, in the world that we live in is very cynical, and there are a lot of people who will tell you, you see something like that, just keep walking, it ain't your business. And that, especially as black men, if you insert yourself, you're going to pay the price. They say no good deed goes unpunished.
That's right.
Man, this guy hears her being raped and goes to see about her. The rapist gets scared and runs away, and the cops show up and immediately shoot him 3 times, Tremaine, the Good Samaritan. Not only do they shoot him 3 times, he is then sentenced for her rape. He was an assistant manager at Popeyes in South Philly. I'm assuming the one on Broad Street. He was sentenced 12.5 to 25 years.
Wow.
He did 19 years.
Wow.
And has finally been let out. I mean, good Lord, he served the minimum and then some. And so Larry Krasner's, the district attorney of Philadelphia, his office of, I think it's their...
Yeah, they have a unit that looks back at all cases.
Yeah, so like the Office of Integrity or something like that, whatever that office is called, they agreed with the Innocence Project and others, Tremaine's attorneys, and so his case was, I guess, like overturned, and he was released yesterday. But he did 19 years, and he was shot 3 times for his troubles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To say to that, man, there's nothing to say,
Yeah, I mean, as the article said in the inquiry, it's bittersweet. I mean, yeah, for the judge to say, we're going to let you go, and the judge
exonerated him. They completely exonerated him.
I'm not exactly sure if he was completely exonerated. I have to go back through the rest of the story, but the judge apologized though, so that helps.
He needs a big payday for that, and some apologies from a whole bunch of folk for that.
I mean, this is like, yeah.
the district attorney that convicted him, the jury. I mean, he needs a whole lot of apologies for that.
Well, what have we said though? So we've been on this thing this week, right? About this. We continue to come back to the 2020 election, you know.
Right.
And remember the whole conversation yesterday about unidentified black males?
That's right.
So that it's easy to believe the worst. It's easy to believe that this guy who had nothing in his past to suggest that he would be a rapist was the rapist. It's easy to believe as a society, and let's be clear to our 99.9% black listening audience this morning, we believe it, which is far worse. That we are quick to, not all, I know, so before y'all start like filling up the timeline, like, that ain't me. I know, because, you know, you all are like kind of ahead of the curve. This is, if you listen to WURD every day, you're kind of a different kind of cat anyway, right? But the truth of the matter is, can we just say, generally speaking, that we are quick to believe the worst when we hear the news, when we hear, you know, black male arrested for this, da-da-da-da, like, oh, yep. So Tremaine spent 19 years in jail for being a good Samaritan, for doing what his friends probably told him all along. Dude, don't go help people. Don't go out your way. It's only going to get you trouble.
Yeah, I'm speechless, which is a very rare thing. But, you know, I mean, what do you say to that? You know,
oh, well, Joe Simmons says the worst part. You're right, Joe. I didn't get a chance to read through it all because, unfortunately, my Philadelphia Online Inquirer typically comes 2 minutes before the show starts. I hope you heard me, Philly Inquirer. But Joe said the worst part is that a gun was planted on him by dirty Philly cops.
Not surprising.
Joe! I wish I had that kind of music, that little sound effect where it's like, dun, 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 dun. No! Whoever heard of Philly cops planting evidence on people to make a case? This is outrageous. This is a first. Good God, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation and perhaps we can take a phone call on this snow day if you want to talk about this story. And I'm going to read through the rest of this while we're on break because I'm sure we got about a 10-minute commercial. Actually, I'm just kidding. It's about 2 minutes. We'll be right back.
What's up, Philly? It's Solomon Jones. The school year is underway, but never before has that experience come in so many shapes and sizes. Is the education of your child being left to a smattering of clumsy, in-person, and virtual instruction? The COVID-19 crisis has created a market for untested virtual teaching models lacking true credibility. Maybe it's time to reconsider and check out Commonwealth Charter Academy. Here are the benefits to your family. 1. An online education provided at no cost to you, complete with laptop, headset, and help with internet access. 2. Partnership with the market leader in cyber education with a nearly 20-year track record of world-class learning. 3. Delivery of a safe, reliable, and comfortable education experience over the internet directly to the confines of your living room. Visit ccaeducate.me today and discover the gold standard of cyber education. That's ccaeducate.me.
Seniors, does your doctor regularly reach out to check on you? Can you walk into your doctor's office and see them if you need to? Do you have your doctor's cell phone number and can you call them anytime, day or night? At Dedicated Senior Medical Center, their only specialty is caring for seniors. Dedicated makes it easy to get the primary care you deserve. Doctors spend more time with patients than the doctors you may be used to. They offer telehealth visits, help you get your medications, and even make sure you get to your appointments. If your doctor isn't treating you like family, it's time to say yes to Dedicated Senior Medical Center. Call Dedicated Senior Medical Center today to schedule a visit and find out what you're missing. Call 267-443-1900. That's 267-443-1900. Appointments are available now.
Tune in every Saturday at 4 p.m. for the Did You Know Show with host Bryant Green, right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
Undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by the Empire State Building. Not a bad start here in Philadelphia. 95 southbound. Light from Cottman down through Bridge. The construction to get Allegheny through Girard. Not a bad ride. Northbound side looks pretty good. Vine Expressway through Center City. No major problems there as of yet. Schuylkill westbound from University through 30th Street. Construction there again going to slow you up just a bit. Blue Route 476 southbound. Amelia Swarthmore accident there off to the right. 42, 55, 295 in New Jersey. Not too bad. Back to Philadelphia. 95 northbound now near Bartram Avenue. An accident scene. Looking for a safe way to have an adventure? Empire State Building Observatory is open. Join them now and enjoy a great outdoor open-air 360-degree view. Secure your reservation at EmpireStateBuilding.com. Open daily. Availability is limited. For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Crystal Cly.
Good morning. Much more improvement today than what we saw yesterday. We are tracking the rain, snow, sleet moving out early, and that leaves us with cleanup as we go through the rest of today. 33 degrees is the forecast high temperature for us as we get into the afternoon. Then we're right back down, 22 for your Friday morning. Friday, more sunshine returning, a high of only 34. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Crystal Cly with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour of Mark Kelly Tyler and Dwayne David Royster. Hey, WURD family, you want to buy black for the holidays? We've got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to wurdradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. So go out there. Time is running out. Get those Hanukkah, get Christmas, and get your Kwanzaa gifts right now. All righty.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Don't start with Kwanzaa, man. Let's leave Kwanzaa alone. Let's just leave Kwanzaa alone.
Abari Ghani, what's the news?
Abari Ghani.
We got our Kanar already set up, bro. FYI.
Do you?
We're ahead of the game.
I actually was on my sister-in-law, the Dr. Patricia Reed Merritt, who was actually one of the co-founders of the National Black Social Work Society, National Association of Black Social Workers, had a birthday party the other day. And I'm sitting on there, and on one side, it's a Zoom call, but one side there's Dr. Molefe Asante, and on the other side is Dr. Melanie Karenga, who was the founder of Kwanzaa. And I'm sitting on this thing like, wow, this is deep, y'all. This is really deep. And I'm like, I know people that know these people. So,
Karenga's the guy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Umoja, back at you, Kenrick.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, got a chance to read the rest of this story.
Okay.
On Tremaine Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
So the officers in question, who both are still employed, by the way, they did not return requests to be interviewed. So it says in the story that the evidence supports that a gun was planted. The gun in question that was found on him, or that was said to have been found on him in court, was smeared in the victim's blood. They said he pulled it out of his coat pocket, right? But his coat pocket was absolutely clean and had no blood in it. It's kind of fishy, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So he was exonerated. So he's been exonerated, so it won't be on his record.
Yeah, but you can't 20 years, man. You just can't.
No, you can't. But but it's even worse if you're just let out early and not exonerated.
Right.
Because not only, did you can you not get the 20 years back, but you still have to explain every time you apply for a job what that's about, you know?
I'm like, you got 20 years. Oh, I was in jail, but I was exonerated. I'm like,
well,
really?
Well, what was it for? Rape, you know, whoa. And so, yeah, but no, I didn't commit it. See, it was these cops planted a gun on me and I had to do, but they let me out. So now at least he doesn't have to even like go there. He says that he's happy to be out and overjoyed, but you know, again, this is not a story that happened from a rape in the 70s or even the early 80s, where a lot of the DNA evidence and things that we have now, they quickly overturn these things, you know, things like rape kits and things of that nature were not available. This is in 2001. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, bro, that's like we're talking about the modern, 21st century. This is our time. So all of the DNA, all the evidence that was available that could have easily overturned this. Now, the two officers involved, one in the court case, they talked about shooting him once in the stomach, or the chest rather, because he was reaching for a gun. But all of the bullet holes in his clothes were in his back. There were no bullet holes in front of his clothing. So he was never shot in the front. He was shot in the back. So you shoot an unarmed man in the back. Somebody, I ain't saying who, somebody planted a gun on him. Now, the two officers in question, one of them, it's in the paper. I'm reading from the article in the paper, has been involved in something. So let me just read it. Vincent and then partner, this is the other guy is not a part of the case, but Vincent was. Vincent is one of the officers who shot him. Mm-hmm. It says, and this is according to the Inquirer, Vincent and then partner Sergeant Dennis Zungalo, who was with him at the scene, did not return phone and email messages Wednesday. Actually, so that was him. A spokesperson for the Philadelphia Police Department had not provided comment as of Wednesday afternoon. Vincent and Zungalo remain employed by the department. In 2016, the city paid $15,000 to settle a civil rights lawsuit naming Vincent as one of two officers who dragged a taxi driver falsely accused of stealing a cell phone out of his cab, assaulted him, and told him if he did not like it, he could, quote, go back to his country, end quote.
Wow. And this is the problem with the
so that's the guy who they settled 15 grand, but that's the guy who shot Hicks. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No. You know, this is why I'm always complaining about the quality of people that we put on the Philadelphia Police Department. You know, the folk, I mean, you shoot somebody 3 times innocent. And Joe Simmons said online that the gun was registered to a Philly police officer. I'm not sure if that's in the article or not. Yeah, that's absolutely, this was the Innocence Project that got him out. So that was great work on their part. But this is crazy. And yet, how many more folk do we know like that are in jail right now?
So let me just say this. So they interviewed the acting head of the PAC, the Police Advisory Commission. You know, Hans Aminos has left for sunnier pastures, and we wish him well. The PAC is going to be eliminated at some point because we've now passed a new law, thanks to voters and folk who are listening this morning, to have an independent police commission. Now, so Power, of course, you know, Power Live Free, we've been intimately involved in this. We lobbied to make sure this was passed. We actually called for it in a demand over a year ago. And so we've been in this debate now about the form and the function of it. And so one of the questions is, will this new commission be appointed by council, or will they be elected directly from the people? Mm-hmm. Now, personally, I think that this new police commission should be elected directly from the people. And I understand that it's a lot easier when you do it as an appointment, but a part of the thing that we're lacking right now is accountability. So all of this happens, and who's accountable? These guys still work for the police department. So there's a lot of evidence that suggests something happened that was not right, but nothing happens to them. You know, of course, Hicks is going to get some kind of ridiculous payout, but will $3 or $4 million make him whole? I think not. I mean, man, I would hate to even think about right now having missed the last 20 years of my life.
Absolutely.
You know, I got married in 2001. And the thing, had 2 more kids since that point. And all of the kind of things that happened he had a 5-year-old son when this happened.
Wow.
He missed all of that.
Yeah.
That's gone. His son is a man now. And so, we have to have accountability. And that's why I think that a directly elected board that you can touch up when they don't act right and when they don't hold the police accountable, you can get rid of them and get somebody else, because somebody has to start paying for this. Somebody. And an apology from the judge on the bench is not enough.
Absolutely. And the check's not going to be enough either, right? Because, again, you can't recover that time. And it's not just his time that was stolen. It's his son's time with his father that was stolen. It's a family member's, a parent's time with their child that's stolen. How many people did he lose over the course of those 19 years whose funerals he could not go to, people who he could not go to at the side of their deathbed, all those things that happened in that time frame, opportunities that he could have taken. We don't know what he could have become in the world. The fact that he was man enough to be able to go and even investigate a situation and want to help somebody he did not know says a lot about who he is from the very beginning.
Yeah. Asa Khalif says, who's been an outspoken advocate and activist around policing issues, says that Philly cops are the biggest gangsters in the city, gangsters paid by the people that they abuse. Well, I know some Philadelphia police and those who support them would take exception to that issue, but I will say, what is more gangster than being able to get paid by people that you get to shoot, and you still get paid for them even after you shoot them? You still get to work. I mean, that's pretty gangster.
Taking their money.
Yeah, that's gangster. Pay me for the opportunity to abuse you. And we know, we have to put the obligatory, yes, it's not all cops. We get that. But there are far too many, and I will say all the time to the quote unquote good cops. These officers who do these things, that put a Hassan Bennett behind bars for 12 plus years, who put this young man behind bars, and so many other stories that we don't even know about, are enabled, like Donald Trump has been enabled by the GOP. And if we can see that clearly, then we ought to see how they have been enabled by other quote unquote good cops who say nothing and allow this stuff to happen, who hear the stuff in the locker room and won't say anything because you're too afraid of losing your own stuff. I rest my case.
Yes, sir. Well, on that note, we got to go. We appreciate y'all checking us out here on the Power Hour today. We'll be back tomorrow morning to bring you all the things that are happening around Philadelphia, and it will be Feel Good Friday. So we will have some real good things to talk about tomorrow. Kwesa, thank you for everything that you do today. Thank you, Dr. Tyler, everybody that checked in with us today. Listen, go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace. Now stay tuned for the Wake Up with Word with Solomon Jones.
Weight on my shoulder.